Let's return now to politics of the day. With me, David Gazzard from DPG Advisory. He's the director there, and former Liberal advisor. Ben Oquist from the Australia Institute, long-time advisor with the Greens. Gentlemen, thanks. What a weird situation at the moment. 3 ministers on the bench for various health reasons. Can't remember anything like this. David, first to you. Would you expect... I mean, obviously, Hunt will be back, but the other two, there's a question mark, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it shows, just how demanding public life is at that sort of level. Of course, Linda and Christian are both off on mental health and genuine health concerns. Greg Hunt, the health minister, is off with a genuine infection. I suppose a good thing, as far as Australia is concerned, on things like vaccine that are actually really important in terms of the country recovering and getting us back to that situation where we've got confidence in our own health. The PM's able to step in on Hunt's until he's back as soon as possible. And of course, if there's one person that knows as much about the vaccine as the health minister, it's the Prime Minister after going through the whole national cabinet process. So at least we got that.
Yeah, that's true. And Prime Minister taking ownership of it. I know that that's been something he's been all over throughout this process, but that's one upside. There's a lot of uncertainty, though, isn't there, Ben, about this cabinet? What have you made of the dramas of the last week or two?
Well, a couple of things. Parliament is coming back next week, and I think that does present all kind of dilemmas for the government. One thing we haven't mentioned there is Craig Kelly's troubles. The government is now relying upon him on the crossbench, and he's got a kind of scandal-ridden office by the looks of things. And I think that whole question of tainted votes and relying upon a crossbench that's looking a bit shifty or dodgy will come to the fore next week. And I think that the optics of the government having ministers not there is not good when the Parliament's tight like that. And then there's those concerns over Craig Kelly. And I think all the issues of the government's handling of this sexual assault crisis will come to the fore when Parliament comes back again. And I don't think the Prime Minister has taken control of that issue. Whatever the rights and wrongs about Christian Porter and his staunch defence of the rule of law, the issue is now a lot bigger than that overall, and we've spent a month now discussing these issues, and we've had one inquiry from the Prime Minister announced over the culture in Parliament House. That's a good thing. But I think there's a much wider debate going on about gender equality, sexual assault in schools, issues of coercive control, the push by Grace Tame for nationally consistent consent laws. All of that, I think, the Prime Minister is not leading on. And that old adage of politics, events did bore events, I don't think that the Prime Minister has taken this opportunity to do something big and special in this area.
Ben's right to point out that this is much bigger now than... I mean, there's the Porter matter, but it's all seen within the same prism of just a culture that's problematic, that is a massive crisis, as Ben put it. Does the Prime Minister need to sharpen up that response?
The interesting thing as this has been unfolded is to segment out what are conflated parts of this whole thing. I mean, there's the allegations about one particular minister, which I note today are now starting to ensnare the Labor Party with former Labor staffers out there. But there's also the institutional side of this. And I think we've got to be really careful here. And I think, momentum has started to shift back the other way in this, that we don't junk important traditions and institutions to get where we want to go. And we've got an inquiry now running, which is completely appropriate, like has happened across the Defence Forces, across a whole range of different industries and corporations. These have smartened up their acts. This is not just a Parliament story. We have the strength in the parliamentary institution with other designated ministers who can step into those breaches while there are people away at leave. We have a system that can cope with this. We've got to let it work. There are times where there's stresses and strains that go onto those institutional mechanisms, but ultimately they've proven the test of time, and I'm sure they will this time.
Let me ask you both, only 30 seconds each if I can, on the Yallourn power station closure. First to you, Ben, on that. This is a bit more notice than was given with Liddell. This is 7 years out.
Yep, plenty of notice by the owners. But it underscores the lack of government plan at the national level. There's no plan for retirement of coal. Coal is going out, it's more expensive. It's going to be replaced by renewables. We're not going to have a gas-led recovery. It's a joke of an idea. Maybe a battery bounce out of this in your lawn as the owners prepare to fill the gap. The states are filling the void. The federal government has vacated the field. It's got this silly idea about a gas-led recovery that's going nowhere. Meanwhile, renewables are driving out coal because it's so much cheaper, and yet there's no coordinated federal plan.
Finally,
well, we have.
words.
This is what's called the market, and that's what works in this situation. We're seeing lower prices because of renewables. It is making energy from coal less practical in these circumstances, and there's other places to fulfil that. What we have to be careful of in the tradition is we have enough baseload power and the systems to cope with it.
Not going to get it out of your lawn, which has broken down 50 times since 2017. It's been an unreliable power station, so it's no use relying upon coal if you want reliability.
It's going. I mean, that is the point. We've got to make sure that the system doesn't fall over without it.
I'm being told I've got to wrap and get to a break, pay some bills. David Gazzard, Ben Oquist, thanks. Good to see you both.
Thank you. The bottom 20% get nothing. They're really unfair tax cuts.
People want to see much stronger action from the government when it comes to climate change.
It's no coincidence that we have a wages crisis in Australia.
Transitioning to net zero emissions, it doesn't seem like there's much room for gas.